VLMV, or Alma as they would prefer to be called, describe themselves as an ambient-ish post-something duo from London. In reality, what they are is a mood. And I don't mean that in the colloquial sense of how you kids like to say it. I mean they are quite literally the sonic embodiment of an emotional state. They are a beautiful sadness, a forlorn hope that burns on nonetheless. I found Alma in 2017, introduced to them by an ex of mine who told me of how their music is tied so closely to her emotions. After a single listen of their debut self-titled record, I understood entirely. Their sound is an open door to your own introspection. Quiet, subdued, and yet powerful. The following year, their sophomore release came to us, Stranded Not Lost. A fitting title for a piece of work that will come to mean so much more to me than almost anything else that I had ever heard. I'm Royston Charmaine, and this is Exploring the Concept. I pre-ordered this record on CD via the band's Bandcamp, sending a personalised message their way about how much their music meant to myself and my former partner. The disc arrived complete with a post-it note attached from the band themselves, a personalised thank you for your support. If I find one in time, I'll include an image of it here. Apologies if I fail. I think she still has the CD, hopefully the note is still with it. Seeing them live was a strange experience. The loft room of a small pub on the outskirts of Leeds, two of about a dozen or so attendees, standing and gently swaying with the soft sounds. One of the better live acts I've seen, but the total lack of atmosphere by design made it feel surreal. An experience I've been attempting to repeat ever since, but stupid COVID has yet to allow it. As for the album itself, Stranded Not Lost is a lamentation of a love that didn't turn out quite how the protagonist had hoped. A stark contrast to the expressions of undying adoration in its prequel. The shift in subject matter oddly foreshadowing my own near future, but that's another story. This record is designed to set out a tone of loneliness, isolation, desolation, and hope. It's breathtaking. As ever, my interpretations and opinions are my own and are not influenced by anything or inferred from anything the band themselves may have stated or intended. Disclaimer done, let's get going. We start with an instrumental, setting a slow tempo and gradually adding layer upon layer, building a soundscape upon which the album will be set. This track feels like it is drenched in sadness, and yet there is a sense of looking forwards, towards light, away from the darkness that lay behind. Quite who the mysterious he is, I'm not too sure. Perhaps a religious belief, but more likely another man, a replacement lover. The track that follows examines these feelings further. The first words on the record are a bitter condemnation of the protagonist's own lack of effort. He didn't put in the work, he didn't go out of his way to see her, he didn't take care to maintain what they had built together, and now he must live with the consequences of that.
If only I was awake in a town that never sleeps. A million miles away through the storm that sank our ship.
He wishes that he could switch off his sadness, find himself on the other side of his pain and suffering at his loss. party the night away in a place that cared not for what lie in his immediate past. But he cannot. He is yet to make it through the storm that left him without a port to call home. It's at this point that I'd like to mention how sparse and repetitive the lyrical content is in Alma. Not to mention how vague and open to interpretation they are. This video will be less of an explanation of plot and more an exploration of how this album speaks to me and how it makes me feel about my own missteps. This track is a self-aware acknowledgement of a man's own rejection and dismay. He is aware that he is in a bad place and allows himself to wallow within it.
For a soul to live.
What follows is another instrumental, building incredibly slowly, growing more and more ominous as a threat emerges from underneath. This song is the onward creeping of depression. You need to address your sadness again, but do a better job this time. Place it in the past and frame it more positively. This is the most beautiful song I've ever heard, just want to say that before we get into it.
Those sunny days as we planned our escapes in our waking hours, and all of these ghosts and their slowest of walks, and they hide beneath the sheets. But inside we spoke about all that was broke and to things done differently. If given a chance at all, this lost romance, and to break a mended heart, it's been honest love. It's an honest love.
A reflection upon the early stages of a relationship, the plans you make, the commitments you hope to hold. The ghosts of these memories when looked back upon are haunting and painful. In your head you play it out differently, but you know that those are fantasies. You know what really happened. It was good, it was real, but it's over now.
Left you awake without storm, without shade, in our wake glass house, and all that white noise, and those beautiful eyes, and a blink that hides beneath. I said, let's step out for some air. I'll be back, just save a spot for me to let it get colder than our hearts will spoil, and there's no coming back. It's been honest love. It's an honest love.
He abandoned her to fare alone from an emotional standpoint. For whatever reason, he checked out mentally, hoping to be able to slot back in at a later time as if nothing had changed. It's hard to keep the other side of the bed warm for long, it will always turn cold, and it isn't always so easy to warm back up again. The emotion has left her, the woman he loved is gone, and it's all on him.
We woke with a spell and the thrill of it all, of our greatest reveal. And all of those ghosts, they still follow us close. It's a film left on repeat. And all that white noise in those beautiful eyes, and a blink that
The happy memories of a glorious past are not enough to rescue the damaged present. It's too much, it's too late. This song is about contextualizing not only the mistakes made and the pain caused by them, but the experience as a whole, cementing it in place in the history of your life, seeing both the positive and negative of it. It was an honest love after all. This is the most painfully beautiful piece of art I've ever experienced, and one that will live with me forever. I adore this record, but this track in particular is special to me. I hope you find the hopeful sadness within it that I myself experience. We begin with the titular dead channel, phasing in and out of consciousness, awaiting a steady breath. The protagonists tried really hard. They put all of their effort in, a real attempt was made to succeed this time. But the usual fear came, an expectation of failure and suffering.
You were the soul of my most beautiful. I was awake and blame you if you weren't.
Another dead end leaves the protagonist feeling emotionless, flat in his own disappointment and lack of surprise. He is the result of a world that they created, the spawn of an idea that they would punish. He doesn't blame the blissfully ignorant for remaining as they are, he's happy for them.
I'll know the players and the pawns. If you would know the fires and the storms, I will know the craters and the storms.
Through this latest tragedy he will learn. He will come back more prepared and more knowledgeable of the pitfalls that lay before him. This song is the rebuilding of a fallen hope. That's what this entire album is, in fact. Well, I can't really say in fact. This album is so oblique that all of this video is basically my transposed feelings on how this album came to mean so much to me. We sway as if adrift far from the shore. The continuing storm motif of this record carries us throughout. Another condemnation in the lyrics, of growing complacent and allowing your safety, your home, to be overtaken and swallowed whole. The protagonists know that she waited. She used up all of the patience that she had, but he took too much of it. Happiness can still be where he lives though, just not this one. It's time to move along, to stop being lost and find a new place to rest his head. A beautiful refrain, this one. A cascading layer of hope that signifies the movement from sad reflection to future happiness. He paints for himself a new world in which he can live, designing his own paradise with a blend of idea and memory, using his past experience, his former joy, including that which she helped wrought, and breathe new life into it, expanding it into something that can house happiness. The betrayal of his real ambition. He wants to build this new self, this new happiness, not for his own well-being, but to try and entice her back. The sadness lingers in this track, otherwise filled with hope. The lengths he is willing to go to for this ideal are beyond what anyone could reasonably expect. Can he really follow through? There is a real effort here. He's trying to move on and create a new version of himself, but his motivations are skewed. He doubts himself, unsure of his own reasonings. The album ends with a pair of instrumentals. First, Lunokhod, named for the first man-made vehicle to land on the moon. This track feels like floating in space in a bad way, uncertain, cold, doomed. The hope from the previous track that we felt dwindle dies here. And we end with Our Corners, a fleeting summary of the overall emotion of the record, loneliness. The piano ticks over slowly as the strings express their impatient sadness. Alma's first self-titled album feels like an exploration of love and happiness. This one, the opposite. It's somber, alone, and failing to come to terms with it. I wonder why I gravitate more towards this one. Lots of the videos on this channel reflect my darker side, but I think that's just me. I find more meaning in the spaces between happiness, because that's all that sadness is. This album attempts to know that, but falls into the trap of repeatedly allowing the hope to dwindle. This is what a big breakup, bad mental break, or long illness is. Weathering a storm, attempting to see the other side, reflecting on the journey thus far, and finding peace within yourself at your own mistakes and actions. This album is a beautiful piece of art, as is their first record, so please, please seek them out. They're the most peaceful, reflective pieces of contemplative music I have found in my entire life. Also see them live once you can. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more, there are plenty more on my channel. This has been Exploring the Concept. I've been Royston Charmaine, and until next time, peace and love.